I love animation. It's a form of media unlike any other. It allows artists and actors to create things that you wouldn't see in real life. From the colors to the characters, there will never be another media quite like the art of animation. Today, I want to talk about my favorite animated movie of all time, The Lion King. This story is a wacky roller coaster, but to understand it, we'll need to start at the beginning. Let me take you back in time here to set the scene. The year is 1992. Disney hires Elton John and Hans Zimmer to write a score and song list for their next film, which is set to be the first completely original movie Disney's ever made, completely from scratch, no inspiration whatsoever. Oh, of course, what's an animated movie without voice actors? They hired an all-star cast of singers and big Broadway names: Whoopi Goldberg, Nathan Lane, James Earl Jones, and of course, Jeremy Irons. Now, I love Jeremy Irons. He brought to life the best villain of all time, Scar. In fact, he got so into the role of Scar that while recording the villain's song Be Prepared, he blew his voice out 2/3 of the way through and wasn't able to finish recording. So Disney, on a rather tight schedule, called up Jim Cummings, the voice of Winnie the Pooh, to record the rest of the song. Yeah, you heard that right. The last third section of Be Prepared is sung by Winnie the Pooh. Jim Cummings is an amazing voice actor who's been in countless Disney movies and other animated films. You've probably heard his voice before and never even knew who he was. The point is, Jim Cummings is so good at voice acting and singing that he was able to perfectly emulate Jeremy Irons' voice, to a degree that when you go back and listen to the song, you never even hear Scar's voice change.
The future is littered with prizes, and though I may not receive, the point that I must emphasize is, you won't get a sniff without me! So prepare for the coup of the century! Be prepared for the murkiest scab!
So finally, The Lion King comes out in 1994, and it's a stark raving success. The box office explodes, and the movie goes down in history as one of the best animated films of all time. The animation, the chemistry between voice actors, the sweeping music by Hans Zimmer, and the epic tale of redemption, Lion King was and still is the standard for coming-of-age films. The Lion King was so much of a success that Disney wanted to bring it to the stage. So they call up Julie Taymor, who would later go on to direct Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark, and she begins work on adapting the musical to a more theatrical setting. Finally, on November 13th, 1997, the show opened on Broadway, and again, it was a smash hit. Lion King is such a large hit on Broadway that it goes on to be the third longest running musical in history, right behind Chicago and Phantom of the Opera. All three of these productions are still drawing in crowds to New York to this day. The Lion King musical added amazing new songs, such as the heart-filled They Live in You.
He lives in me. He watches over everything we see.
And the epic power ballad, Shadowland. It also expanded and improved upon the already existing songs like Hakuna Matata, Circle of Life, and Be Prepared. It's worth noting that Patrick Page would play Scar in The Lion King for some time, and then later joined Julie Taymor again to play the Green Goblin in Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark. It amazes me how closely intertwined and related these two productions are. Both were directed by Julie Taymor, both of them star Patrick Page, both of them are owned by Disney. Anyway, it seems all uphill from here, right? The Lion King is both popular on stage and screen, and it's still pulling in thousands of dollars a day. Surely there's nowhere else to go from here. Don't fix what ain't broken, right? Well, one would think. Around 2010, Disney began developing this fetish for taking already existing animated films and rebooting them into live-action movies, adding new elements, tying up loose ends, and trying to fill up any plot holes from the originals. Once Disney saw that people liked these movies, they decided to continue sucking at the cash cow's udder and keep pumping out more and more of these reboots. Alice in Wonderland was followed by Cinderella, and then another Alice in Wonderland movie, and then Beauty and the Beast, and then Dumbo, and then Aladdin, and then finally The Lion King. Each of these movies were beat for beat relatively the same as their animated forefathers, but expanded upon the stories, adding new elements and new songs. When it was announced in 2018 that a live-action Lion King was going to be made, I was stoked. Between the movies, the countless books, and the Broadway musical, Lion King has so much lore and unexplored material, and I was looking forward to seeing what they would do with this new movie. Since the Disney remakes up until this point added new songs to the films, I was under the impression that we would get to hear songs from the Broadway musical in this new revival. I was also excited to hear Be Prepared. It's my favorite Disney villain song. I couldn't wait to hear how they improved upon it or updated it. And then Disney announced that they were going to be cutting Be Prepared from the reboot completely.
You what?
Now, when I heard this, I was confused. But then I looked it up, and it turns out that Disney was worried that the hyenas goose-stepping would invoke Nazi imagery, so... okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But still, I was crestfallen. Be Prepared is such an iconic song, and I couldn't believe they were taking it out. So for the next year, I wasn't looking forward to seeing The Lion King. I still held out hope that they would add songs from the Broadway musical, but boy was I wrong. First, let's address the elephant in the room. The animation and the cinematography in this film are amazing. Yes, this is an animated movie. They marketed this movie as a live-action film, but everything you're seeing is painstakingly detailed, computer-generated imagery, from the lions to the trees to the giraffe poop. It's incredibly photorealistic. So much so that there's still a debate going on in the Lion King fandom to this day on whether or not this movie actually counts as a live-action remake. If everything looks like it's being filmed live, but it's actually animated, what should the consensus be? Beyoncé and Donald Glover are incredible as Nala and Simba in this movie. Their voices are very rich and deep, and they're just really good at singing. I love that for this film, the majority of the characters were cast with diversity and cultural accuracy in mind. The lions and the hyenas are all voiced by incredibly talented people of color. James Earl Jones is the only returning voice actor from the original cast, and it's nice to see him back in action here. Eric Andre and Keegan-Michael Key stole the show in this film. They're really funny as the hyenas.
Would you two cubs like to stay for dinner?
Yeah. Great idea.
The way that they recorded the audio for this movie is very innovative. Jon Favreau employed a recording technique called black box theater. This allows the actors to interact with each other and move and act as their characters in a way that elicits a more natural performance. I like Beyoncé's new song, Spirit. On its own, it's a very upbeat and exciting song. The orchestration is nice, and it's a wonderful combination of traditional gospel choir music and new age pop music. Also, side note, I really like this movie's version of The Lion Sleeps Tonight a lot better than the first one. This one's just a lot more catchy, and it makes me feel unreasonable. Remember that amazing song, Be Prepared? Remember how Disney said they were removing it from the reboot? Well, they didn't. They left it in. It's back. Look how they massacred my boy. Now, I don't mean any disrespect to Chiwetel Ejiofor. Is that how you say his name?
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Oh, I love his performance in Doctor Strange, but he just doesn't really bring Scar to life as well as Jeremy Irons and Jim Cummings did.
That was today? Oh, I feel simply awful. Must have slipped my mind.
Was that today? Must have slipped my mind.
Don't turn your back on me, Scar.
Oh no, Mufasa. Perhaps you shouldn't turn your back on me.
Oh no, Mufasa. Perhaps you shouldn't turn your back on me.
Well, as far as brains go, I got the lion's share, but when it comes to brute strength, I'm afraid I'm at the shallow end of the gene pool.
Well, as far as brains go, I got the lion's share. But when it comes to brute strength, I'm afraid my big brother will always rule.
I know. Obviously, if two actors play the same character, their performances aren't going to be alike. But Ejiofor's performance just seems very dull and lifeless in comparison to Jeremy Irons. Which brings me back to James Earl Jones. He played Mufasa in both the 1994 and 2019 Lion King. His performance in the original was full of emotion and power.
Don't turn your back on me, Scar.
Oh no, Mufasa. Perhaps you shouldn't turn your back on me.
Is that a challenge?
In the 2019 film, however, he just sounds tired. He sounds like he's not really committed. He sounds like he's just there for the paycheck and doesn't really give it his all.
Don't turn your back on me, Scar.
Oh no, Mufasa, perhaps you shouldn't turn your back on me.
Is that a challenge?
I mean, to be fair, can you really blame the guy? He's been acting for over 70 years at this point, so I don't think I can hold this performance against him. Okay, actually I can, but it's really not fair to. In the original movie, Mufasa's death is devastating. Here is a mighty king, his strength failing him as he holds onto this cliff for dear life. His final words, no, his final plea, is a call for help to his brother.
Scar! Brother, help me!
Long live the king.
You can hear the desperation in Mufasa's voice and the trust for his brother. Now take a look at the 2019 version of this scene.
Scar! Help me! Long live the king!
Mufasa doesn't sound desperate at all, he just sounds mildly inconvenienced. He doesn't even call Scar brother, and that's the essential part of this scene. Scar is his brother and he's acknowledging that. But he doesn't say brother here, he just kinda goes, Scar, you friggin' dirtbag. Help me. All the emotion is just thrown out the window for this scene. I don't want to seem like a jerk for criticizing James Earl Jones. I have no room to talk. He's a seasoned actor on both stage and screen, and he is amazing at his work. I'm just griping about this one scene. However, I do love J.D. McRary's performance as young Simba in this movie, particularly in this scene. His take on it just feels so much more raw and natural than Jonathan Taylor Thomas's performance in the original.
Somebody help! Help! Somebody! Anybody!
Let's talk about Beyonce as Nala. Remember how I mentioned her new song, Spirit? Again, it's a good song on its own, but it just doesn't feel like it belongs here. Beyonce is an amazing singer. She performs extraordinarily as Nala, and I'm really puzzled as to why they didn't give Nala her own song in this film. But they did, Joel! Spirit is Nala's new song in the movie. No, it's Beyonce's new song in the movie. This song doesn't really pertain to Nala in any way. We don't see Nala singing the song at all. The song is just kind of there in the background as Simba and Nala go to take back Pride Rock. Why, Disney? Why did you do this? Why didn't you, give Nala her own song? You gave Jasmine a new song in Aladdin. You gave Belle, several new songs in Beauty and the Beast. Why didn't you give Nala her own song? You didn't even have to write a new song. You had a perfectly good set of songs being performed on Broadway. You could have had Nala sing Shadowland. In the Lion King musical, Nala is singing this song before she leaves Pride Rock to find help. This is an extremely important moment for her. She's leaving behind everyone she knows and loves. She's leaving behind her entire life. She's leaving all of it behind in a desperate attempt, in a last-ditch effort to find help. She's filled with uncertainty and fear, but she knows that she must do this in order to possibly save her tribe. In the 2019 movie, there's literally a scene where we see Nala escaping Pride Rock under the cover of night. Shadowland would have fit perfectly to this scene and would have been talked about for years to come. Why, Disney? Why did you ignore one of the greatest Lion King songs of all time and replace it with some out-of-place pop song? Why? I don't hate this movie. I really don't. It tried new things, it tried new cinematography techniques, it was impressive, the animation was great, I don't know, everything else just fell short. This movie had so much potential. Jon Favreau is a great director, Lion King is a great movie and franchise. This reboot could have taken the best elements of the original and the best elements of the Broadway musical and combined them with the new animation, and this could have outdone the original movie. There were so many missed opportunities here. At the end of the day, Lion King 2019 is a good movie, but it will never get the chance to live up to the legacy of its predecessors. I'm not sad, I'm just disappointed. 6 out of 10.
A squash banana window yama on the green ya on my yard. A squash banana window banana out the window like Mufasa.